Picture two fishermen standing at the edge of the same river. The first man has a wide, cracked net. Every time he pulls it up, it's full of fish, but half of them slip straight through the cracks before he even reaches shore. He fishes all day, every day, and still goes home hungry. The second man has a tiny net, barely bigger than his hands, but there isn't a single hole in it. Every fish he catches, he keeps. By evening, his basket is heavier than the first man's, even though he caught less. This is not a story about luck. It's a story about leaks. Most of us have been taught that the answer to money problems is simple. Catch more fish, earn more, work more hours, chase the promotion. But if your net is full of holes, a bigger net just means a bigger mess on the riverbank. You don't end up wealthier, you just end up more tired. Over 100 years ago, a Japanese woman named Hani Motoko became her country's first female journalist, and she noticed something odd. Households with modest incomes were quietly thriving, while households with much larger incomes were drowning in debt. So in 1904, she designed a simple method to fix it. She called it Kakeibo, literally, household financial book. Not software, not a spreadsheet, a notebook and a pen. It has been passed down through generations of Japanese families ever since. And it's part of the reason Japanese households are known for saving a striking share of what they earn, sometimes over a third of their income, without feeling like they're suffering for it. Today, we're going to unpack that method, not to help you earn a bigger paycheck, but to help you seal the cracks in the one you already have. Because real wealth isn't built by monks who take a vow of poverty, and it isn't built by executives who take home a fortune. It's built by ordinary people who simply stop the leaking. The problem with money you never touch. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Modern spending is designed to feel like nothing. You tap a card, you double-click a button on your phone. A package shows up 2 days later, and it barely registers as a transaction at all. This is intentional. Companies have spent enormous amounts of money engineering the feeling of friction out of spending, because friction makes you pause, and pausing makes you buy less. Psychologists have a name for this. It's called the pain of paying, the small mental wince you feel when money physically leaves your hand. Cash triggers it. A tap or a click barely triggers it at all. So the bill arrives at the end of the month like a stranger's signature, and you think, who spent all this? Kakeibo works by putting the friction back. It asks you to write, by hand, every single yen or dollar or rupee you spend, not track it in an app that quietly logs it in the background. Physically write it. Coffee, 5.20 cents. When your hand has to move across the page, your brain has to slow down and ask a real question. Was that worth writing down? Suddenly the invisible becomes visible again. You're not spending numbers on a glowing screen. You're spending hours of your actual life. Stay with me. This next part is the actual engine of the whole system. 4 questions that replace 1,000 budgeting apps. Kakeibo doesn't rely on complicated formulas. It relies on 4 honest questions, asked at the start of every month, written down in your own hand. How much money is coming in? How much do I want to set aside? How much do I truly need to spend to survive? And how can I do better than last month? Most people answer these questions in the wrong order. They spend first and save whatever crumbs are left, which is usually nothing. Kakeibo flips the sequence entirely. Income minus savings equals what you're allowed to spend, not the other way around. Say you bring home $3,000 and you decide to save $600. You remove that $600 the moment it lands, before it has the chance to disappear into small, forgettable purchases. Now you're living on $2,400, and something strange happens. You get resourceful. Scarcity, When it's chosen on purpose, sharpens your decisions instead of scaring you. You start separating what you actually need from what you merely want in the moment. 4 boxes for every expense. Every purchase you make falls into one of 4 boxes. Box 1. Survival. Rent, groceries, electricity, transportation, medicine. These are non-negotiable, but they can almost always be trimmed. Box 2. Desires. Takeout, new clothes, drinks with friends, streaming subscriptions. This is where nearly all of the leaking happens. This is the box that decides whether you end the year richer or poorer. Box 3. Growth. Books, a course, a museum ticket, a concert. Kakeibo doesn't punish this spending. It protects it. Investing in your own mind is not waste. It just has to be written down like everything else. Box 4. The unexpected. A flat tire, a birthday gift, a phone screen that shattered on the sidewalk. Life will always throw a few of these at you, so you plan space for them instead of being blindsided. Every night, for about 3 minutes, you sit down and sort your day's receipts into these boxes. This isn't about punishing yourself. It's about staying honest while the memory is still warm. If you dropped $40 on drinks last night, you write it down this morning, and that small sting is often enough to make you think twice tonight. Most people only check their finances once a month, which is like performing an autopsy. Useful information, but far too late to save the patient. Kakeibo checks the pulse daily, while the patient is still very much alive. The envelope that can't lie to you. For the desires box specifically, Kakeibo practitioners often use physical cash. At the start of the month, they withdraw exactly what they've budgeted for fun and slide it into an envelope. Every night out, every takeout order comes straight from that envelope. When the envelope is empty, the spending stops. There is no invisible credit line to lean on. No, I'll just put it on the card. The limit is physical, and physical limits are very hard to argue your way around. If you burn through the whole envelope in the first 10 days, you spend the rest of the month feeling the consequence directly, and that lesson tends to stick far better than any lecture. If cash feels impractical in your life, a separate prepaid card, loaded with a fixed amount, does something similar. But there's a reason physical bills work better on the brain. Watching a stack visibly shrink creates a sense of urgency no app notification quite replicates. Wait 30 days before you want it. We live inside a machine built for instant gratification. You see it, you want it, you own it, 48 hours later. This machine is extremely good at emptying wallets. Kakeibo introduces a deliberate delay. When you spot something you want that isn't a genuine need, you don't buy it. You write it on a wish list, and you wait 30 days. At the end of that month, you look at the list again and ask yourself honestly, do I still want this? Or was I just tired, or lonely, or scrolling out of boredom? More often than not, the craving has quietly evaporated, and you've saved money simply by doing nothing at all. If the desire is still there with the same intensity 30 days later, you buy it. But now it's a decision made with a clear head, not a purchase made to numb a feeling. Respect for what you already own. There's a Japanese idea called motenai, a sense of regret over wastefulness, a quiet respect for objects and the effort that made them. Practicing Kakeibo tends to build this instinct naturally. Before replacing a worn-out pair of shoes, you clean and repair them. Before buying the newest phone, you clear the clutter off the one in your pocket. Caring for what you own stretches its life and quietly shrinks your appetite for buying something new. The entire consumer economy depends on you feeling a little dissatisfied with what you already have. Kakeibo teaches the opposite skill, finding contentment in maintenance rather than acquisition. The monthly mirror. At the end of each month, you sit with your numbers and ask the harder questions. Where did the plan fall apart? Why did $150 vanish into delivery apps? Were you exhausted, anxious, bored? This isn't self-punishment, it's data collection. You're the scientist here, studying your own patterns with curiosity instead of shame. Maybe you discover you spend more on the days you're stressed at work. Now you have a warning sign. Next time that stress appears, you reach for a walk or a hot bath instead of your wallet. This creates a loop of small, steady improvement. A little sharper, a little tighter, every single month, until one day, you look up and realize you're saving 30, 40, even 50% of your income without ever feeling deprived. You didn't get a raise. You just stopped the bleeding. Wealth is a gap, not a number. Here's the part rich people rarely say out loud. Wealth was never about how much you earn. It's about the space between what you earn and what you spend. Picture someone earning $180,000 a year who spends every cent of it. Their net wealth is zero. One lost job away from crisis. Now picture someone earning $55,000 who spends $35,000. They're setting aside $20,000 a year, and that person, despite the smaller paycheck, owns something the first one doesn't: time and choices. Kakeibo is entirely focused on widening that gap. You can't always control what you earn. Raises are slow, promotions are political. But you can control what leaves your hands today. Every dollar you keep instead of spend becomes something closer to a quiet employee, working in the background, compounding, buying back hours of your future that you'd otherwise have to sell. Your life is the ledger. Your notebook isn't just tracking dollars, it's tracking your values. If you say your family matters most, but the page shows $600 on golf and $0 on your kids, the ledger is more honest than you are. It holds up a mirror you can't argue with. So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, don't just glance at an app. Physically write down everything you spend. A notebook, a sticky note, the back of a receipt. It doesn't matter. Coffee, $4.75. Gas, $38. At the end of the week, circle every purchase that was a want instead of a need, and add it up. Most people are stunned by the total. What's your leak? The one small habit quietly draining your account every single month. A daily latte? A forgotten subscription? Ride shares instead of a 10-minute walk? Tell us in the comments. If this shifted the way you think about money, come join us at Wisdom Loom English. We dig into these kinds of quiet, overlooked truths every week. Subscribe so the next one doesn't slip past you. Your net doesn't need to be bigger. It just needs to stop leaking.